In September 1961, a couple driving home through rural New Hampshire arrived 2 hours later than they should have, and neither of them could say where the time had gone. Under hypnosis years later, they'd each independently described the same thing. It became the first widely documented alien abduction case in American history. Some stories were never meant to be found. Betty and Barney Hill, a working couple from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, were driving home late at night from a vacation in Canada, taking Route 3 through the White Mountains. Just after 10 p.m., Betty noticed a bright light in the sky that seemed to be moving against the pattern of the stars. Curious, Barney pulled over more than once to look at it through binoculars. The light didn't behave like a plane or a star. It grew larger and closer, until Barney stopped the car and got out, watching it descend until it was hovering low over the road ahead of them, close enough to make out structural details. He would later describe seeing figures through what looked like windows on the object, and then, according to his own account, a strange beeping sound, after which his memory became fragmented and disjointed. The couple arrived home roughly 2 hours later than the drive should have taken. Betty's dress was torn and stained. Barney's shoes were scuffed in a way neither could explain. Both later described their watches as having stopped working entirely. In the days after, Betty began having recurring nightmares about being taken aboard a craft. Unsettled, the couple eventually sought help from a Boston psychiatrist, Dr. Benjamin Simon, who used hypnosis separately with each of them to try to recover the missing time. Under hypnosis, conducted months apart with no opportunity to compare notes, Betty and Barney each independently described being taken aboard a craft and examined by humanoid figures, details that matched closely despite never having discussed them with each other beforehand. The case reached the U.S. Air Force's Project Blue Book, the military's official UFO investigation program, which classified it as a misidentification of the planet Jupiter and left it there. That explanation didn't stop the story from spreading. In 1966, a best-selling book on the case brought the Hills' account to a national audience for the first time, and a televised dramatization followed soon after. Perhaps the most debated detail came from Betty's hypnosis sessions. A star map she said she'd been shown aboard the craft, which she later sketched from memory, a pattern an amateur researcher would claim, years afterward, matched a real, then undiscovered arrangement of stars in the Zeta Reticuli system. Skeptics pushed back hard on the star map claim, arguing the match was selective, and that Betty's sketch could be fit to any number of star patterns if you were motivated to find one. Project Blue Book's official case file was similarly thin, built largely around the Jupiter explanation, with little serious engagement with the physical details both Hills reported independently. What the file didn't address was the consistency itself. Two people, hypnotized separately, months apart, by a psychiatrist with no stake in the outcome, describing details of a craft and its occupants that lined up almost exactly. Dr. Simon himself, the psychiatrist who conducted the sessions, ultimately concluded the experience was likely a shared psychological event, rooted in anxiety rather than a literal abduction, a conclusion the Hills reportedly disagreed with for the rest of their lives. That explanation accounts for a great deal. Hypnosis is well documented to be suggestible, and a couple already frightened by a strange light could plausibly build a shared narrative under stress. It doesn't fully explain the torn dress, the scuffed shoes, or the stopped watches, physical details reported before any hypnosis ever took place. And it doesn't explain why, 6 decades later, this remains the case every subsequent abduction story gets measured against, the one that came first, and the one neither Hill ever recanted. Some stories were never meant to be found. This one started with 2 missing hours on a dark New Hampshire highway, and it's still the blueprint every abduction case since has followed. Tell me in the comments, shared psychological event, or the real thing that started it all? And if Roswell was the crash, this is the case that turned the mystery personal. Subscribe to the Unburied for the next one.